Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins. Welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, Lita, it's a late spring evening. We're right in the middle of Robson Square. Lots of fantastic energy.
Absolutely, Jim. And we got the beautiful art gallery in the background. Always a great view.
Last time I checked, that's where it was. Well, we got lots to do, so let's get to the next episode of Our City Tonight. Well, for this edition of Spirits Up, Lita and I find ourselves on West Broadway near Trafalgar in a great little spot called Monterey's Thai Cuisine. And we're here, not with Crystal Lee this time, but with her dad, who I like to call the Frank Sinatra of wine in the Okanagan. I know he hates when I say that, but I'm saying it anyway. Anyway, Harry is here with us. Thank you for joining us here today.
My pleasure. I'm sure you don't want me to sing for you, though.
No? Actually, let's have a few more glasses, and then I'll probably say yes.
Well, Harry, this has been a super exciting year for you, not only celebrating 50 vintage year with your family. You've been awarded the SIP Award, the Spirited Industry Professional, from your peers. I mean, that is overall the crowning glory, definitely, in this wine industry. So how does that feel?
I was very honored, but I have to tell you, I was at a great loss for words. Anybody that knows me, that doesn't happen very
I've never
often.
heard that happen before.
No.
And you know, you and I talked a long time ago with Lita about being in the industry. 50 Vintages is not somebody that's coming into the wine industry, you know, 5 years ago. Can you talk a little bit about what changes the Okanagan has gone through since when you first started?
It bears no resemblance today to what it did when I started in the 60s. But the biggest change we've had is consumer attitudes. And 50 years ago, there weren't a lot of people drinking wine on a regular basis. Today, the consumer is not only drinking wine, they understand wine and they're demanding of higher quality, greater breadth, unique styles, and it's just a great time to be in the wine business.
Very nice, very nice. Well, speaking of wine, what are we going to sample first here?
Well, this first one is a 2014 vintage Cabernet Franc. It's a single vineyard from off the Black Sage Bench, and that this is a variety that we've been producing for a number of years, and that as a variety from the Okanagan, it's gaining tremendous amount of friends. That it just keeps being more and more popular as people understand the variety. It's a great Bordeaux variety originally, and it's adapted extremely well to our growing conditions in the South Okanagan.
Very nice. Let's take a little taste here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's very nice. Now, we always ask your daughter, I'm a red wine drinker, as is Lita, all year round. I don't care what the temperature's like. What would this go well with food-wise?
It goes with a wide range of foods, but one of my favorite things is a grilled steak. Certainly for the summer that we use this as a barbecue wine pretty frequently. It's got lots of depth of character, but it goes with a wide range of things. Great with pizza.
Pretty upscale barbecue wine, I have to say. Beautiful Cab Franc.
And unlike your daughter, you didn't answer with the word chips when we said what foods go well. Anyway, we're going to enjoy a little more of this, actually. We'll be back later in the show from Monterey's on West Broadway. We're going to talk about a couple more wines with Harry on this Spirits Up segment. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for taking the time to sit with us. You know, one of the things I've loved about your career over the years is a lot of actors don't come home, and you've had great success south of the border.
Thanks.
A lot of youngsters have grown up with the Dragon movies, which are fantastic. And, but it's great to see you come home. Can you talk about how you've managed to do that? Because it's not as easy as it sounds, and it's not as simple as just doing America and then coming home.
Yeah, I mean, I just like it here. This is where I grew up, and it's my home, and it's where I live. And you know, if I was in almost any other gig, no one would ask why I want to work where I live. But I made an effort because, well, I remember growing up in high school, and I'd see Canadian celebs, and the only time I'd see them on Canadian television or in Canadian movies is when, like, we're kind of dried up for them elsewhere, and then they'd come back on the sort of tail end of their career, and I always thought that sent kind of a crummy message, and I always had said, like, if I get the chance and I have like a little modicum of fame, it should be you know, Canada should know that I'm Canadian, that I live here, and I made this movie for Canadian kids.
And we should say for hockey fans as well. This takes me back to my youth. I mean, this is so well shot, and I said to you, it's
Thanks.
not easy to shoot hockey action.
no.
A lot of people try and fail, but it also is a throwback to those great Broad Street Bully days of the
cool.
70s with the Flyers and everything. And one of the things I said to you before we started is that I got to congratulate you on getting the cast back.
Thanks.
People like Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
That's not as easy to do. How did you pull everybody together for the second one? Because a lot of people may not know, this is a sequel.
Yes, it is, and if it wasn't a sequel, if someone wasn't available, we would just find someone who was. No, it all starts from the fact that they wanted to do it, I guess. You know, like if they hated the thing, that the scheduling would be a moot point. But we all had such a blast and really dig the first movie so much that everyone said yes was the first answer. Follow-up was, how do we figure out how to get everyone there? And a benefit of working with a successful, good cast is that they're all quite busy. And so we just, you find pockets and you try to overlap wherever possible. Sometimes it requires you shooting a scene that features a character that his shots will be picked up later or stuff like that. But you do whatever it takes, but it all starts with everybody wanting to show up.
Beautiful. Check the movie out. It's out there right now.
So this next wine is our McWaters Collection Meritage, and it is always built on a Cabernet Sauvignon platform. So that will always be the basis of it, then complemented with Merlot and Cabernet Franc to give us a nice round but very firm, bigger style of Meritage.
Well, let's try this, guys.
That's delicious.
That's so good. Wow.
And your family actually introduced, you introduced Meritage to Canada.
I did. The association started in California, and after a lot of coaxing, I managed to get the California Association to let us bring it to Canada, and it's a registered trademark of VQA Canada now.
Wonderful.
And Harry, as we always ask your daughter, we'll ask you, what does this go well with?
Oh, this goes with, again, a wide range of foods, but I like it with lamb, great with lamb, but also if you've got grilled sausage, particularly sausage with personality, it's got some spice and whatnot.
Perfect in the
Works
summer,
really well.
huh?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Delicious. Well, there's some great lamb dishes here. The lamb sauce apparently would go perfectly with this wine at Montrese. And so thank you, Montrese, for having us here at your beautiful restaurant.
Yeah, we're here from West Broadway, right near Trafalgar. And Harry, thank you for coming down
My
today.
pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Look forward to our next segment.
This edition of Spirits Up was brought to you by McWaters Collection Wines. Cheers.
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 Well, Jim, we're here in Gastown at the Alexander Gastown, and we love this area, of course,
Yeah.
but we're here waiting to meet the band.
That's right. The band is Vallis Alps. The duo is based in Sydney, Australia. They're touring North America right now. We got to talk to them before their recent concert. Before we talk to them, take a look at one of their latest singles, Fading.
David, you are from Seattle, and Parisa, you are from Canberra originally. How did this come together, this great band?
Well, we both took a year off in Israel to volunteer at the Baha'i World Center because we're both members of the Baha'i faith. And we met there and we just started making music together. And then a couple of years later, we decided to work on an electronic project, which ended up being the Vallis Alps EP.
You know, looking at when we first got introduced to you guys, Lena and I were looking at your journey and everything. I mean, you're selling out shows in London, in Paris, in Australia, obviously. Can you talk a little bit about what this ride has been like for two young people that meet and you put a band together and the success you're enjoying?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like we sort of just set out to make a music project just for the fun of it, and it was kind of like this fun creative project, and I guess last year it sort of just became our job. So we're enjoying it. I mean, we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
And honestly, so grateful. Like, we get to meet so many amazing people, and we never realized that music was so important to people as it is now, and like I think it's becoming more and more important for people in their daily lives. So it's really cool to be a part of that.
One of the few things that can actually bridge ethnicities and countries and races and classes and everything too. Are you guys getting at least a little time to enjoy the cities you're in? Like you're blowing into Vancouver while we're doing this. Are you out of town tomorrow and on to the next city?
We will actually, in Vancouver, we have a few days to hang out and have fun. So it's been pretty much the first city where we've had more than like a day, other than the start of the tour in New York. So we're looking forward to hanging out in Vancouver and eating some food and have a good time.
Yeah, Vancouver is such a beautiful city. We're so lucky
awesome.
to be here.
It really is. Well, Seattle's kind of the sister city, so you got a feeling probably like home. And you again have another sold-out show to perform, and onwards with your tour as well.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to tonight.
Sir, first of all, welcome to Vancouver. It's an honor to have you here in our city, and congratulations on a great new store.
Thank you. I was anxious to see it because something is to design it, something to see on real. So I'm pleased. I know Vancouver. I'm flying to British Columbia since many years, but as a tourist, outfitting and things like that around British Columbia, Yukon, Alberta, and now to be here. It's really is. I love Canada.
That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Absolutely.
And we should also say congratulations on 45 years of making spectacular clothing. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Can you talk a bit about? I've always assumed that fashion is very cyclical, that it goes in trends and circles and everything. How has the fashion changed, say, for men over the last 45 years, in your opinion?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. You know, the man wants to feel good. It's my concept of fashion, before looking good. And I don't understand when fashion is obliging the man to wear very tight jacket, very short pants, and short shoulder. I'm on what is a completely different word. Tailoring is different from fashion. And I respect fashion, but I don't follow fashion as far as I do have my colors, I do have my material. I design and produce my materials, trying to be not eccentric, but trying to be different. But the quality is always the focus of testing what we are doing.
And are men, do you find that men are taking more chances these days in fashion? I mean, I like the traditional look. I was having breakfast with my dad this morning, and this look I have on now, and he said, son, I had the same suit, tie, and everything on 50 years ago.
That is accredited to you.
No, thank you.
You know that, yes. But I will say that there are different occasions, because sportswear has to be worn in the proper occasion, when you really feel you want freedom, you want to be outside, enjoy. But you know, each one has his own position to respect. And I would say that, and responsibility. And I would say that every suit is already a message of the rules that the person is covering.
I'm here at the 4th Annual Capture Photography Festival. Very excited to be here with Meredith. And Meredith is the key person to ask, actually, what makes this festival different than what's out there in Canada, maybe across the States?
Well, when Capture started, we were never really concerned with being the biggest festival. To put it lightly, we wanted to be the best. So we were highly curated and really wanted that quality across the board. We also, being from Vancouver, we are reflective of the community here and the kind of photography that's being made here, which is really experimental and has a very strong conceptual legacy. So there's more room for risk-taking than maybe in another festival.
Wonderful, and you've opened it up to the public, which is lovely. I mean, there's a lot of great photographers here in Vancouver, but you call it light and lens-based photography. Can you explain a little bit to us what that means?
Sure. So Capture is always defined defined itself as a photography and lens-based festival because we never wanted to be restricted to just showing straight photography. There's a really amazing history of experimental photography that looks outside of that particular kind of straightforward medium. So that encompasses collage, assemblage. In this case, we have Kelly Lyken's photocopy work that is a really great example of photoconceptualism. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
Awesome. But so explain to us, what is a must-see at this festival this year?
Well, I'd encourage everyone to get out and see some of the many public art installations that we have throughout the Lower Mainland. We have exhibitions on billboards throughout the Canada Line stations and in major neighboring cities like New Westminster and Richmond, as well as Vancouver.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is so awesome for the artistic community here in Vancouver.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending some time with us today.
I'm Chris Buck of the Chris Buck Band, and you're watching Our City Tonight.
This health and wellness segment is brought to you by Viva Nutraceuticals. He has been a naturopathic doctor in Richmond for nearly 30 years. He's an author. He appears on television. He's a columnist, and you can find his latest book on his website. The Doctor of the Future is here, and he is here with us. He's also a contributor, medical expert, contributor to Our City Tonight. I'm happy to be here with Dr. Raj Jita, and we're in your office today here in Richmond. For, you're on all the time, and every issue we talk about on our show is serious, but this one, as a guy, is particularly serious, and that is the prostate. Can you tell the men and women out there what exactly is the prostate and what is its function?
Okay, yeah, nice to be here, Jim.
Thank you.
So the prostate gland for men, it's a small walnut-shaped gland that's part of male reproductive health. And it's an important gland because it nurtures and nutrifies the reproductive system. And it's also a gland that can undergo changes as years go by, and it's a gland that needs to be prioritized as far as maintaining good optimal health.
And you were saying, I'm getting older, this is something I try to make a habit of doing, is that as you get to the 45, 50 age group and how important it is for regular checkups.
That's right. So with the prostate gland above the age of 45 to 50, it has a natural propensity to get larger, or what we call benign prostatic hypertrophy, which is often what we consider a normal part of aging. However, as the prostate swells up, there's a tendency for it to affect normal prostate function, so urinary flow, higher risk for prostate infections, sexual function, and so on. But also, as a prostate swells up and as we age, there's the risk of prostate cancer. And prostate cancer for the prostate, obviously, is something that's a leading cause of mortality for men. And it's something that needs to be addressed. It can also be assessed quickly, efficiently, and if caught early, prostate cancer now is perfectly treatable.
Yeah, compared to, say, when my grandfather was my age, there have been great advances, but you got to get there early. That's the message we really want to convey today.
That's right.
And there are no surefire prevention treatments or anything, but you talk a lot about, as a naturopath, there are strategies that you can follow. Can you help us with that and explain that to our
Okay, no
viewers?
problem. So as a naturopathic physician, obviously I'm not a urologist, so our strategy for prostate health is to employ nutraceuticals, or naturally occurring plant substances, fruits and vegetables that aid in prostate health. So they can actually help to shrink the prostate, as we discussed earlier, so improve prostatic flow, reduce the risk of prostate infection, bladder function problems, sexual function. So these plant substances are common. For example, things such as pumpkin seed, avocados, soybean extracts. These are fruits, vegetables, and seeds that have been known to shrink the prostate. We use those in pill forms or capsulated products to help aid prostate health.
And so I think the message you want to convey, is, certainly I do today, is the regular checkups are paramount.
That's
in
right.
the prevention, number one rule, right?
Absolutely. So prostate health is important. It's a gland that's usually evaluated through the rectal area, so it's uncomfortable for men, but also very important to know that if you have a strong family history or above the age of 50, the regular exercises can be the difference between life or death for people, because, as I said earlier, evaluating the prostate early and efficiently can lead to treatments that can, the cure rate is phenomenal, 80, 90%.
Yeah.
So without that regular evaluation, if prostate cancer spreads, the prognosis is a lot more bleak.
Well, regular checkups, everybody out there. And before we go, I should mention, we have you on all the time. You've been a practicing naturopathic doctor. You sit for 30 years now, and people can see, you, of course, they can get your book, they can see your columns. He does other TV shows. We don't like to say that, but we can't have him exclusive because he's that good. Just go to your website for all the information they can find on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in Richmond for close to 30 years. I've written this book, so people can go to my website, get access to the content of the book, and help empower themselves to take charge of their health.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for your thoughts and expertise on this important subject matter.
This segment of Health and Wellness was brought to you by Viva Nutraceuticals.
Insozia is a safe and effective sleep aid. Insozia does not use drugs to induce sleep cycles, has no addiction, and no tolerance buildup. It is a unique patented formula which includes natural traditional Chinese herbal medicine. Insozia is manufactured in Canada, formulated by doctors with 10 years clinical research, by a manufacturer with 21 years of experience. For more information, go to vivahealthsolutions.com.
Well, Jim and I recently got to go to a really great party, a party put on by one of our good friends, Bernard Lagoud. He puts on some excellent parties all throughout Vancouver. And Jim got a chance to sit down with a really interesting author at the party held at Shally Rosso Gallery.
Thanks, Leda. Well, I'm here with the man of the hour here tonight, and his new book is called The Ivory Stretch. And Kerr, we welcome you to Vancouver on a very snowy night when we're taping this.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, when I read your stuff and read about you in prepping for this, you really seem like a guy who's got his hand on the pulse, the zeitgeist, as it were. Like, you remind me a lot of the guys like Brett Ellis Easton and Jay McTierney, who can capture the people and the mood and the culture all the time. Am I right with that?
Well, yeah, you know, it's been said, it's been written about that way. A lot of, you know, my books have always been compared with Jay's and Brett's, and I think for you know, probably good reason. Jay investigated in Bright Lights, Big City, the kind of the model phenomenon, but it was more of he gave it a glance. There was one character like that. When I got hold of that subject matter, I kind of went full blast. It was a different era, you know, a few years after Jay, when model mania was hitting hard and big, and you know, the Christy and Cindy and Linda and Naomi were, you know, bumping the super.
They were movie stars.
They were bumping the movie stars off the red carpet. Yeah. I mean, they were bigger than the movie stars and getting all the acclaim, and it kind of was at that time. So I wrote a fictional version of a character that is obsessed with those kind of beauties, and and Brett was coming at things with you know, a different angle a little bit, but we were all in that era when fiction was kind of having a renaissance in America, you know, and being embraced again, and it was a good period of time for us, and pre-internet, pre-viral stuff, you know.
It really reminded me of American literature right after World War II. Like, there was this new sense of ruggedness and people being frank and just telling it, laying it on the line kind of thing that you guys were doing in the 80s and the 90s. It sounds silly to say that, but it just wasn't being done. Well, welcome back to Robson Square on this beautiful evening, and that is it for another edition of Our City Tonight. But Leda, before we leave, tell our lucky viewers what they could win.
Well, we are actually going to give away a CD of Jonathan Roy. Last episode, we interviewed this rising young star, and if you go to our Facebook page or Twitter or Instagram and hashtag good things, you have a chance to win this great CD.
Yeah, we should say, hey, thanks to Charlotte and all the folks over at Warner Music Canada. I'm Jim Gordon.
I'm Leda Leapin.
We will see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.